Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, my beautiful hot messes. My name is Mistress Lavender, and welcome to my reading YouTube channel. If you're looking for my other YouTube, like regular content, it's AYE Beautiful Hot Mess. But if you're on the right YouTube, let's begin. I'm reading The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I'm on page 110, starting at the observance of the law. Before we begin, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn your post notifications on. Let's begin. Wu Chao, born in AD 625, was the daughter of a duke, and as a beautiful young woman of many charms, she was accordingly attached to the harem of Emperor Tao Xing. The imperial harem, underline that, kind of what that means, was a dangerous place, full of young concubines viving, what does that mean, viving, to become the emperor's favor, I guess battling maybe. Wu's beauty and forceful character won her this battle, but knowing that an emperor, like other powerful men, is a creature of whim and that she could easily be replaced, she kept her eye on the future. Wu managed to seduce the emperor's dissolute son, Cao Tung, on the only possible occasion when she could find him alone. While he was relieving himself at the royal urinal, even so, when the emperor died and Cao Tu took over the throne, she still suffered the fate to which all the wives and concubines of a deceased emperor were bound by tradition and law. Her head shaven, she entered a convent for what was supposed to be the rest of her life. For 7 years, Wu schemed to escape. By communicating in secret with the new emperor and by befriending his wife, the empress, she managed to get a highly unusual royal edict allowing her to return to the palace and to the royal harem. Once there, she fawned on the empress while still sleeping with the emperor. The empress did not discourage this. She had yet to provide the emperor with the heir. Her position was vulnerable, and Wu was a valuable ally. In 654, Wu Chao gave birth to a child. One day, the empress came to visit, and as soon as she had left, Wu smothered the newborn, her own baby. When the murder was discovered, suspicion immediately fell on the empress, who had been on the scene moments earlier and whose jealous nature was known by all. This was precisely Wu's plan. Shortly after, the empress was charged with murder and executed. Wu Chao was crowned empress in her place. With her new husband addicted to life and pleasure, gladly gave up the reins of government to Wu Chao, who was from then on known as Empress Wu. Even now, in a position of great power, Wu hardly felt secure. There were enemies everywhere. She could not let down her guard for one moment. Indeed, when she was 41, she began to fear that her beautiful young niece was becoming the emperor's favorite. She poisoned the woman with a clay mixed in her food. In 675, her own son, touted as the heir apparent, was poisoned as well. Damn, she murking everybody. The next oldest son, illegitimately, but now the crown prince, was exiled a little later on trumped up charges. And when the emperor died in 683, Wu managed to have the son after that declared unfit for the throne. All this meant that it was her youngest, most ineffectual son who finally became emperor. In this way, she continued to rule. Over the next 5 years, there was innumerable palace coups. All of them failed, and all the conspirators were executed. By 688, there was no one left to challenge Wu. She proclaimed herself a divine descendant of Buddha, and in 690, her wishes were finally granted. She was named Holy and Divine Emperor of China. That was a woman on a mission. Wu became emperor because there was literally nobody left from the previous Tang dynasty. And so she ruled unchallenged for over a decade of relative peace. In 705, at the age of 80, she was forced to abdicate. I assume abdicate is a fancy word for quit or retire. Interpretation. All of who knew Emperor Wu remarked on her energy and intelligence. At the time, there was no glory available for the ambitious woman beyond a few years in the imperial harem, and a lifetime walled up in the convent. In Wu's gradual but remarkable rise to the top, she was never naive. She knew that any hesitation, any momentary weakness would spell her end. If every time she had rid of a rival and a new one appeared, the solution was simple. She had to crush them all or be killed herself. Dang. Other emperors before her had followed the same path to the top. But Wu, who was a woman, had next to no chance to gain power, had to be ruthless still. Emperors Wu 40 Emperor's Wu Empress Wu's 40-year reign was one of the longest in China's history. Although the story of her bloody rise to power is well known in China, she is considered one of the period's most able and effective rulers. A priest asked the dying Spanish statesman and general Roman Marie Navarez, 1800 to 1868, does your excellency forgive all your enemies? I do not have to forgive my enemies, answered Navarez. I have had them all shot. She said, I don't have to forgive them, they're dead. Crazy. Keys to power. It is no accident that the two stories illustrating this law came from China. Chinese history abounds with examples of enemies who are left alive and return to haunt the crush the enemy is a key strategic tenet of what? Sun Tzu, the 4th century BC author of the Art of War. The idea is simple. Your enemies wish you ill. There's nothing they want more than to eliminate you. If in your struggles with them, you stop halfway and even 3/4 of the way out of mercy or hope of reconciliation, you only make them more determined, more embittered, and they will someday take revenge. They may act friendly for the time being, but this is only because you have defeated them. They have no choice but to bide their time. The solution, have no mercy. Crush your enemies as totally as they would crush you. Ultimately, the only peace and security you can hope for from your enemies is their disappearance. I'm going to stop there because I'm messing up bad. So we're on page 112. I'm almost done, but yeah. What was the chapter even about? I don't even remember because so much was happening. She killed